What's up, college football fans? Welcome back to an all-new episode of the Cover 2 College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Smithson, joined, as always, by my co-host, the Okie Longhorn himself, Dalt. As usual, first and foremost, how we doing on this rainy, gloomy, stormy Oklahoma night tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm glad that I am protected by the barrier that is Lake Eufaula. I know my wife is going to hate to hear this on the podcast, but I told you so, babe. It's never fails. It's always a deterrent of big storms. The lake never fails us. But
Yeah.
I have a feeling that that's not going to be the only I told you so that I'm going to have tonight. For because
Ugh.
what was a stormy weekend was not a sleepy weekend in the college football world. There were a lot of big games and some pretty big upsets.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, we had, some the games that we picked, some didn't go the way we thought, some did. We have obviously 5 games that we're going to talk about here tonight, Dalt. Maybe touch on a few that we didn't. Maybe just we'll get into best and worst of the weekend since we're doing our recap episode, and then to finish off tonight, we're going to hit a top 12. We're in the eve, not quite the eve. Tomorrow's the eve of our first college football playoff rankings. They will come out Tuesday evening. I told you I think it's kind of odd to me with how the format is now. I feel like it should be a little bit more like March Madness. I don't really see the point in having rankings that are going to be so drastically different to what the final poll will be because of the automatic qualifiers and whatnot. So to me, I feel like they should kind of abolish this, but obviously ESPN's not going to do that when they put it on TV and people watch. But we're going to give because of those coming out Tuesday on this recap episode, we're going to kind of give our prediction right now in a vacuum what we think the playoff is going to look like come December. So we'll give our 12 teams. I don't plan on going through and picking winners and stuff like that. We're just going to kind of give our top 12. Obviously our top 4 will be our conference champs, highest ranked, and then we'll have that group of 5 team. But we're going to finish things off with that, Dalt, and with that we can get kind of right into this recap and this first game that we're going to talk about. Not a lot to say. Did not go how I kind of predicted. Kind of went exactly how you predicted, and that was the Iowa Hawkeyes absolutely annihilating Wisconsin at home. This one was ugly. Was never really much of a game. Wisconsin kind of kept it close early on, but Iowa was just too much. Wisconsin's just I don't know what I was thinking, honestly, picking Wisconsin, but Iowa does cover. They win 42-10. Spread was -3, so they cover that rather easily. Dalt, what?
And then some. And then
what?
some.
Wisconsin actually led 3-0 after the first quarter, but then they did not score again until the fourth. This one, what did you think of this one? Your kind of prediction on Iowa being able to run the football was pretty well true. The Johnson kid had 135 yards, 3 touchdowns. What did you watch much of this game, or what did you think of this one?
I didn't watch any of this game. I completely forgot we picked this game. No, Iowa. This was exactly how I drew it up for them. You lean on what is being a slept-on season by Kelshawn Johnson because Ashton Genty's doing what he's doing, but Kelshawn Johnson is having just as good, if not better, of a season than Ashton Genty. How about Iowa? 423 yards of offense, and they only had 93 passing yards.
That's the most Iowa thing ever.
The most Iowa thing ever. They had 330 rushing yards. That tells you it went exactly how you would have drew it up. 6 for 11 on third down, 1 for 1 on fourth down. Don't have a whole lot of penalties. You don't turn it over.
Yeah.
Bingo.
I mean, that's typically a surefire winner. And that's what happened. Like I said, Wisconsin just, I don't know. I thought defensively that they were going to be able to kind of keep this closer just because they seem to kind of be playing a little bit more consistent football, which is what I touched on in the preview episode. But that just was not the case. Iowa was just far and above the better team. They were at home, and I talked about that being kind of a big deal. But I had mentioned I just thought I might be able to get a game back on you, but that's not the case. I should have been a little smarter here. And I mean, you look at Iowa, Dalt, 4-2 in the conference.
That don't matter. They're out.
Yeah, I would say most likely with how things are going in the Big Ten. I don't think they have much of a chance. They would kind of need total chaos. But
and I don't believe they play any of the top 4, do they?
I don't think so. No, it's kind of with another game we're going to talk about, Ohio State, Penn State, kind of become a bit of a 3-horse race. I know Penn State, they're still obviously there. They just need a lot of help losing that game to Ohio State. But yeah, this is a winner for you, Dalt. Not going to talk a ton about this game. Iowa, they handle Wisconsin at home, get it done. I took the Badgers +3. You took Iowa -3, so you start out with a win here, and I do not. So we'll move on, and we're going to hit 3 straight ACC games like we picked in the preview. First one here is a bit of a downer, and lo and behold, Tim picks Clemson, and they don't cover. What a surprise. Who could have foreseen this tragedy, Dalton? The Louisville Cardinals go to Clemson at night. And for the most part, they hammer Clemson. I mean,
they whooped the shit out of Clemson. Let's not beat around the bush.
The final score to this one does not really indicate what took place. 33-21 is the final. So not only do they cover, they win outright at Clemson. Spread was 10.5. We both just thought the way Clemson was playing, so we were both losers here. I wasn't the only one on the Clemson train this time. Thank you. We both took Clemson, and they just pretty well let us down. This game, it was like 26-7 late in the second half. And there was did you watch? I watched a little bit of this one. I didn't really watch it intently, but I did watch some of it knowing it was a game that we picked. What did you think of? It was 26-7, and Clemson scored. And Dabo kicks the extra point instead of trying to go for 2 and make it an 11-point game. Like, what? I don't understand that. The announcement.
There's no difference in being down 12 and down 13. Both of those involve 2 touchdowns needed to be in the game. If you would have went for 2 and got it, then you could have at least conjured up a field goal to get you within 1 score. And when Dabo made that decision, it was almost like he was waving the white flag.
Yeah.
Like he knew that his team didn't have 26 in them.
That's fair. I just, yeah, essentially this one was over. I mean, Clemson had just looked so good offensively. Like I know it's the ACC, like they hadn't really played anybody, but it just was kind of surprising because Louisville defensively had not looked good. And they had the big shootout with Miami, gave up 50 to them. SMU kind of did whatever they wanted to in that game against them at home. I mean, just defensively, they hadn't looked good. And I mean, they, for the most part, they kind of held Clemson down most of this game. They give up 14 there in the fourth quarter, but it was the game was kind of well in hand. Yeah, like it was kind of over at that point. So big win for Louisville. And obviously Clemson, I think for the most part, I guess you can't say they're really out of the playoff race. Like
they're out.
You can't say they're out though. I mean, they can still win the ACC.
No, they can't.
Why not?
They're not even going to play for it.
You can't say that for a fact though.
They're not even going to play for it.
But you can't say that for a fact because other teams might lose. Just because they don't play them doesn't mean that they're not going to lose. I don't necessarily disagree with you. I don't think that they're probably going to make it to the conference championship at this point. But you can't say with a fact, you can't say it matter of factly that they're out. That's all I'm saying.
Logically, there's a chance.
Correct.
Realistically, they're out.
Yeah, I would agree. Like looking at it,
SMU and Miami are going to walk to the ACC championship.
Most likely. I agree. However, there is obviously the possibility that one of those teams drop a game. They're obviously both undefeated in conference still, so I guess you would need them. You need one of them to lose 2 games. And with the remaining schedules, Clemson doesn't play one of them. So, like I said, they would need to lose 2 games because they're not going to get that head-to-head. So, yeah.
Does Clemson play Miami?
I don't think so.
I was going to say, I don't think Miami, Clemson, or SMU play each other.
No, I don't think they do.
Yeah, no. So, I mean.
No, yeah. They got
Clemson's
Virginia. They got Virginia Tech, Pitt, Citadel, and South Carolina. So only two conference games.
And SMU only plays Boston College, Virginia, and Cal.
Yeah.
Miami plays Georgia Tech and Wake Forest, and then Syracuse to end the year.
Yeah.
I don't see either one of them teams losing. I could be wrong. I don't know what the tiebreaker is in the ACC, just like I don't know what the tiebreaker is on any of these damn conferences that don't have divisions and everybody doesn't play each other. It's a cluster.
Yeah.
But no, Clemson looked terrible. On offense, I know they had 450 yards of total offense. Cade Klubnik being asked to throw the ball 56 times, that ain't it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Clemson's out of it. I do agree, but I think you have to look at the realistic chance that one of these teams could collapse. But I don't think that's going to happen. But you can't say it's not possible. So either way, Clemson's the loser here, Dalt. We're both losers because we picked them. They get beat 33-21 at home by a Louisville team that had kind of been reeling. And this was a massive win for Jeff Brom and those guys at Louisville. They're obviously out of contention for really anything, but kind of get back on track here. I think they improved to 6-3 overall. So yeah, big win for Louisville. We both were on Clemson here, so that was a loss. So we'll move on to probably the most disappointing one of the weekend, Dalt. Looked like a lock early on. But Miami, I'm telling you, dude, I said this the other day. Somebody in Las Vegas, they have time machines. They have to. And this point spread was 21.5. 21.5, and they win by 22. Like, are you kidding me? I don't understand it. So Duke was up 28-17, and this looked like a lock for us. I mean, like a total lock. And Miami just kind of goes on a barrage. Duke kind of falls apart. I know I saw one of the interceptions Malik threw. It just went right through a guy's hands for Duke to Miami. Cam Ward, outside of the horrible interception that he threw again, what is with him and throwing across the field off balance? Like, you got to stop doing that, dude. It's got to stop. Because
he ain't gonna stop because it ain't cost him yet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It will when you get into the playoff. More than likely, like Miami's probably going to do, it's going to cost you. But he's 25 of 41, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. We both essentially thought this was a lock for Duke, and I pointed out that Miami's defense just has been trash, and it still wasn't great in this game. They give up 31 to Duke, which is a team that they've had a little bit of trouble scoring. But early on, it looked pretty good for us, but ultimately, the story of this game is kind of the fourth quarter. You have a 21 to 3 point differential in the fourth quarter, and Miami, like I said, they're able to cover by a half a point. It's 21.5, and they're able to cover. And I think I've lost Dalt again. It would appear.
You're back.
You're back? I was never gone.
Back.
You're back.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess I'm back.
Yeah.
We both disappeared on my screen. We're back.
I tried to filibuster I think I did a little better that time, but I just kept rambling because I noticed you had froze, and then you were back. I have to imagine this has something to do with storms tonight. Probably not great on the old internet. But anyway, Dalt, I was just touching on the kind of big difference in this game was Miami's 21-3 point differential in the fourth quarter. They really were able to kind of separate there. I mean, what did you think of this game? Did you watch much of it, or?
Yeah, I watched most of it. Like I said, whenever they got to 28-17, even if they didn't win, it looked like it was going to be a lock.
Sure.
Whenever Duke cut it to 31-32 in the fourth quarter, I was like, there's no way. There's no way that Duke doesn't cover. Whenever it got to 39-31, I was like, oh, okay, still okay. When it got to 46-31 and then Duke threw that pick, I was like, they're going to score and they're going to put up 22. I was like, they're going to go up 22 and it's going to completely ruin my whole day. Malik Murphy, 3 interceptions. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Duke or Miami's defense isn't good, but you can't give them 3 interceptions.
No. Yeah, no. Yeah, you turn the ball over in really any game, no matter how good you are, most of the time, you turn the ball over 3 times, you're probably going to lose.
4 times because they also lost a fumble.
Yeah. So, yeah, you lose the turnover battle like that. I think the only one Miami had was the interception that Cam Ward threw.
They also had a fumble as well.
Okay, so 4-2. The Restrepo kid, 8 receptions, 146, 3 touchdowns.
He's pretty Miami's leading receiver.
Yeah,
receiving history.
He's pretty good. That dog will hunt. But yeah, no, you're totally right. It was 15, and I'm thinking, okay, I need to drive here. Just maybe even just get a field goal, like any points, or just hold on to the ball. Just go down the field, turn the field over, punt, whatever. Defense is played
Miami run the clock out.
And that ball goes right through the Duke receiver's hands. They get it in plus territory, and I'm just like, okay, we're cooked. Like, we are cooked. Yep. And we look like idiots because we said basically this was like our lock of the week pick. And they cover by half a point, man, like crazy. Just, I'm telling you, Vegas, time machines. Like, look into it. It's like deep state stuff, man. I'm telling you. So, yeah, this is a loss for both of us, Dalt. We took Duke here. Thought it looked great. Didn't turn out that way. So we'll move on here real quick. And this one was a win for both of us. Your SMU Mustangs, they absolutely just hammer Pittsburgh at home. And what was a top 25 matchup, Pitt came in here undefeated. SMU obviously was 7-1, I believe, overall. And they just handle them. And SMU, man, playing some really good football here down the stretch. They beat them 48-25. They covered that 7.5 rather easily. And I mean, early on this year, Dalt, you kind of looked at SMU and it was like, man, they just kind of keep scraping by, but you just wonder when's the dam going to break. And it never did. And they've kind of turned the entire ship around a little bit. They make the quarterback change, Preston Stone for the Jennings kid, or the Jennings kid for Preston Stone. And they just kind of never really have looked back. But
you had it right the first time. Preston Stone for Jennings. Yes.
You knew what after I said it, it sounded wrong. So I said
it should sound wrong because Preston Stone was so good last year before he broke his leg. Like
that's your preseason.
Him not to be the guy.
Your preseason ACC MVP, Preston Stone, who is no longer playing football. Well, he's still playing, but you know what happens. What do you think of this one, Dalt?
Read what's under my name. Read it. Read my name and what's under.
I love it.
We're all over it, baby. We're all over it. Everybody called me a madman. That BYU loss doesn't look bad now. BYU's undefeated. How good are they? Who knows?
I mean,
early season. Hey, SMU's on fire. SMU's a team you don't want to play right now.
I'm having so much fun, Dalt. Like this is cutting edge stuff. We are making predictions that, I mean, we've been so wrong at times, mostly me. I have some bold predictions that don't come, but you hit your stride every once in a while. And this is a big weekend.
Oh, we were on this weekend on the nose.
The
On the
only
nose.
one is Duke, man. Duke and Clemson just totally dropping the ball. Totally.
Oh,
But
it's bad. SMU's a wagon right now, and I'm telling you right now, Miami looking at that ACC championship, seeing
they
Duke
hate to see
or
SMU
seeing
coming.
hate to see SMU coming. You can get by with Cade Klubnik and maybe go into a shootout with them. You don't want to get into a shootout with SMU. They may the ACC championship might be a old school 2013 Big 12 game that is just a track meet,
I mean,
and
this
I'm
game,
here for it.
it was 31-3 at
They were
halftime.
they were hammering them, and Eli
I,
Holstein played.
yeah, I saw he was going to play, and I thought, man, I don't know, Pittsburgh maybe has a chance, but nope, they sure didn't. They did not. Running back for SMU, the Smith kid, goes for 160. Tight end has 3 receptions for 108. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
One of them was an 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah. Well, hey, we don't worry about it. It's yards per catch, man. That's what we do here.
Hammer down, pony up. I told you at the beginning of the year that SMU was going to go 12-0 or 11-1. The over was going to hit like Freddie Freeman on the inside pitch. It's gonna it's a lot.
Great analogy.
It's gonna get hammered. And here we are, 3 games away from going 11-1, and they don't play nobody to finish the year. They're hitting their stride. They're looking great. I love it. Dalton was right.
Yeah, and I mean, frankly, like you said, if you're Miami, I don't think you love seeing them coming down the tracks because the defense seems to be considerably better. Again, I still have no faith in Miami's defense. Like, you give up 31 to a Duke team that, offensively has been okay, but not great. Not great. I mean, but yeah, so we were both on SMU here. That was a win. I mean, yeah, you look at Duke. Duke has scored over 30 points twice this year.
And one was Miami, and the other one was like
Middle
Citadel
Tennessee State.
Yeah.
Middle Tennessee State. Yeah. So take with that what you will. I tend to agree with you. I think Miami, like we said, they don't exactly love to see SMU hitting their stride. So we'll move on, Dalt. Final game of the week here. Another win for both of us. And man, it just is what it is, man. James Franklin cannot win the big game. He just can't.
Can't beat Ohio State.
Can't beat Ohio State. Can't beat Michigan. Typically, the only 2 teams really worth much of anything. And I mean, Penn State should be lucky that they don't have Indiana on the schedule because not sure if you're watching what's going on in Bloomington right now, but they can score some points. And
they're hammering people.
Frankly, I'm not sure Ohio State loves seeing that one coming down the schedule. Just early read here. I don't know. Indiana, Kurt Signetti, the ball's rolling over there. But Ohio State, they defeat Penn State. 20-13 was the final here. They cover 3.5. We both took Ohio State in this one. And, early on, Penn State had some momentum. They got up early. It was, 10-0. And then they kind of just stalled out. Ohio State bounces back. They go up, what was it? They were
down 10-0.
Yeah, they were down 10-0. And did Ohio State score 2 touchdowns and then kick 2 field goals? How did this one go? Because, they almost scored.
They scored 2 touchdowns, kicked a field goal to go up 17-10. Penn State gets the field goal, and then they get the field goal in the fourth quarter, and that was
it. So they only scored 2 touchdowns. They were right there. Howard almost ran that in and fumbled. Yeah, for the touchback. That was a
classic Will Howard.
At the time, seemed like a massive play in the game, but it ended up not really mattering. And James Franklin, he wants to complain more about officiating and not getting a night game than he does, winning the game. I just think the guy's a fraud, frankly. You make your money on beating these average to below average teams, And I think Penn State's a good team. They play good defense, but I just don't have a lot of faith in the offense. Like Ohio State's defense is good this year. It's not as elite as what I think some people have thought that it was going to be. I mean, they gave up 30 plus to Oregon, and outside of that, that's really the only team with a pulse that they've played. And so I don't know, Dalt. What did you think of this game?
Whenever Penn State went up 10-0, I thought this was over. I thought their defense was good enough to slow down Ohio State for what they are. But I was wrong. I never expected Ohio State to come back with 2 touchdown drives. And Will Howard taking care of the football was not something I had on my bingo card until the fumble out of the end zone. But the fact that your defense gets you 7 points and your offense only gets you 6, there's your problem. You can say what you want about Cold Nicky, whatever. Drew Aller threw for 146 yards. That's not going to cut it in a big game.
No.
You got to have quarterback playing a big game. You're not going to stand here and tell me your quarterback doesn't throw for 150 yards and you win a big game. Your defense has to be elite.
Yeah, I mean, what did Ohio State or Penn State? Let's see here. Trying to find team stats.
Penn State only had 270
total yards.
Yep.
I mean, which they win the turnover battle, but I mean,
but
21 first down.
They can say what they want about that fumble incompletion call. That's an incompletion. Travion Henderson never made a football move. He was still trying to secure the ball whenever he dropped it. You can say what you want about officiating, whatever you want. You can cuss your fans, Matt Campbell style, as you're walking off, telling them to be a man, give me your name. What are you going to do, James Franklin?
That's what I'm saying, dude. You complain about the official, like good teams, great teams, they don't allow that to affect the game. Like they win the game, they control things. Like I've been saying it since we recorded this podcast, since we started doing the podcast. I said it even before. I have never believed in James Franklin, and I will continue to do so. This is a team that's probably going to go on to finish 10 or 11-1. They're not going to play for the Big Ten championship, make the playoff, and they're going to get beat. They're going to get beat by a SEC team, or I mean, I don't know. I just can't get behind James Franklin and Penn State. I just can't. I never will. He cannot win the big game. Can't do it.
Nope.
And so looking forward here, Dalt, we take Ohio State, and we'll move on and get into best and worst in our playoff picks right now. But they win this game, so they kind of keep their hopes of the Big Ten title alive. With the 2 teams ahead of them right now, they do still control their own destiny because they play Indiana down the line. So at this point, that game is kind of going to, unless Oregon stumbles, which I don't think is going to happen.
Even if they stumble, they got to stumble twice.
Right. So Ohio State, Indiana, probably going to be a de facto winner, goes on to play Oregon in the Big Ten championship. And frankly, I think the winner of that game is in the playoff regardless, because I think the Big Ten runner-up is in the playoff.
Mm-hmm. I think the Big Ten third place is in the playoff as well. That'll be Penn State or Indiana.
Most likely. And frankly, Dawd, I'm telling you, man, I just still am not all in on Ohio State. Indiana is you can't say enough. I'm not here to talk about Indiana tonight, but what Curt Cignetti has done in year 1 and that offense, their ability to score and how they're playing with – you talk about doing a lot with a little. Dude can coach football. And I'm telling you right now, is that game at Ohio State or is it at Indiana?
I believe it is at Ohio State. Yep. Indiana has to go to the Big House.
Yeah. So –
or the Shoe. I'm sorry, the Shoe.
You're talking. Yeah, if we have any Ohio State fan listeners, they might be upset about that.
I hope they get pissed about it.
So, I thought Indiana looked really good this week. They had that I thought it was kind of a trap game. with Michigan
They were
State.
down. They were down 10-0.
They were down, then they reel off like 31 straight, or
40,
like at
40
47.
points.
Yeah, they win 47-10. I think that they're going to probably put it on Michigan this week, and then they go to Ohio State off a bye. They get a bye week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm telling you, dude, that
Hey,
one's going to be
that's going to be a big one.
If they beat Michigan. I mean, they're in the top 10 right now. That is going to be, you talk about it, just crazy huge game for Indiana football. And obviously, we'll talk about it if it gets to that point. And I think it probably will, because Michigan, they can't play dead offensively right now. So, yeah. All right, Dalt. That's our recap. You went 3-2. I went 2-3. So neither of us had a great weekend. You still stayed above 500. I did not. Shocker.
Your super dog did not hit.
No. Yeah, super dogs. Yours did. Your super dog won outright. Vandy. 6-3. Vanderbilt defeats Auburn. There is no team in America that can lose quite like Auburn right now. It's impressive.
Hugh Freeze 0-3 versus
Diego Pavia.
Diego Pavia lost to him at Liberty. Lost to him last year at Auburn when he was at New Mexico State, and then he gets him at Vandy.
I said in the group, Dalt, I would love to know when the last time Vanderbilt beat Alabama and Auburn in the same season, because it maybe has never happened. If it has, it's probably been a long time ago, and I could be wrong, maybe not, but crazy.
Is Diego Pavia the best quarterback in the SEC right now?
He might be. I mean, hell, Clark Lee might be the damn coach of the year in the SEC. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy.
They got a big one this weekend.
So yeah. Your super dog hits in Vandy. Mine does not. Arkansas got absolutely annihilated by Ole Miss. I mean, Lane Kiffin and the Rebels exercised some demons on Arkansas. That was not pretty. 60 burger on the Razor Pigs. All right, Dalt. So with that, let's get into best and worst. Give me your best of the weekend for week 10.
My best was the preparation by South Carolina. Tim, we had a TikTok that blew up. Probably our best, most interactive TikTok we've had for the channel. And all we had to do was mention the Aggies. And here they come. They're asking if I went to Texas because God.
Oh no. We lost Dalt again. There he is. He's back.
Okay. Where'd you lose me at?
Right. They ask you if you went to Texas.
Oh yeah. Heaven forbid you be a fan of a place you didn't go to school at.
Yeah. But, if you don't go to college, you can't watch college football.
Yeah. And then I get ridiculed for saying that LSU wasn't prepared. Like they had no idea Marcel Reed was coming like that. Apparently that's not feasible. The best defensive coordinator in the SEC apparently at LSU had to be prepared for Marcel Reed. South Carolina was prepared. They taxed his ass.
They did.
That offense taxed that Texas A&M defense ass.
Lenora Sellers, he had them in hell, brother.
Yeah, you talk about good for Shane Beamer. Good for Shane Beamer.
Oh, absolutely.
They have been so close all year, and to win that game was incredible. And how they did it, being tied at half and then ripping off 24 unanswered. It was beautiful. I loved it. There's nothing more beautiful than Texas being on a bye and Texas A&M losing.
Yeah, it's a great weekend for you.
It was beautiful. Oklahoma trailed Maine. I wanted them to stop the clock, stop the count. It's over. But no, South Carolina they showed the world how to do it. Like everybody in the SEC now is like, okay, cut and copy. This is how you do it. Just keep him in the pocket, make him throw. No. Ask A&M fans, he can throw it too. He made a hell of a throw on that interception.
Well, and we talked about it, Dalt. I talked about it. I mentioned that, A&M fans, I wasn't trying to take away from what he did against LSU, but it was kind of being made out like that he just came in there and it just lit the world on fire. And really, when you looked at the numbers in that game, it wasn't the case. Like he played
He had the
good,
ball on
but
LSU side of the 50 for like 4 drives.
right. He just was in a lot of advantageous situations. And I'm not trying to bag on Marcel Reed. I think he's a really nice player, and he's young, talented, and clearly South Carolina just was really well prepared. And Beamer had a game plan, and Lenora Sellers. I mean, I think the story really. We talked about the South Carolina pass rush. It could be the way that they played ineffective against Marcel Reed, because we talked about it during the game. Kennard and Stewart, they don't really have a lot of they're great
Integrity.
players.
They don't have pass
But yeah,
rush
like
integrity.
discipline and all that, like it's just a straight bull rush. And like I talked about how that might negatively affect them because of Marcel Reed's ability to run, but it really didn't. They got after him and they kind of kept him in the pocket, contained him. And that middle linebacker, I can't think of what his name, Williams, I think is his last name, the number 0.
Mm-hmm.
He had a really good night. I mean, he was all over the place, making plays. And yeah, South Carolina, just right from the jump, man. I mean, this game went to halftime 2020 and the finals 44-20. I mean, outscored in the second half 24-0. They had a plan.
But it was the defense's fault. Not. I was told by an Aggie fan on TikTok that it was the defense's fault, not the offense's fault. The offense was fine. But scoring 0 points in the second half is not fine, brother.
I can't wait to clip this. All right, so that's your best. My best, I'm going to go to what was my bold prediction, Dalt. I took Houston over Kansas State in the Big 12, and Willie Fritz and the gang got it done. They are able to upset Kansas State. I think the final in this one was 24-19. They outscored Kansas State 14-0 in the second half. Houston really didn't do anything crazy, but they just kind of hung around, and Kansas State, they fall to 7-2 overall, 4-2 in the Big 12. Man, the Big 12 is it is drunk, literally totally drunk. And Houston, you can't say enough about what Willie Fritz has done. I think they started 1-4, and they've now won 4 in a row, I think, or something. It's something like that. I saw it on Twitter, but they obviously are totally out of everything at 4-5. But they're my best of the week. I had to give it to them. Picked them in my bold prediction to win this game, so I had to go with the Houston Cougars here. Who Dalt is, I know you don't probably have a lot to add on that one, but not really a relevant game. Who's your worst of the weekend?
My worst is the Duke Blue Devils for the second half, really the fourth quarter collapse. You can't give up 21 straight like that and just completely ruin me going 4-1. Shame.
Yeah. Not good. We talked about that game, so there's really not a whole lot more to say. Dalt, BP, John, anybody else that's an Oklahoma State fan, might want to take your headphones out for this one. My worst of the weekend is, and this could be the case maybe the last 6 weeks, it's Oklahoma State. I mean, blown out at home on homecoming by Arizona State, who's now 6-2 overall, only 3-2 in the conference. OSU, Dalt, they fall to 3-6 and 0-6 in the Big 12, and there is a legitimate case to be made that this team might not win a conference football game. They have TCU, Texas Tech, and Colorado remaining, and I don't think that they're going to be favored in any of those games. Maybe Texas Tech because it's at home. I don't know about TCU. Let me look here. Yeah, they're at TCU and Colorado. I don't know that they're going to be favored in either of those games.
They can't stop the run.
And yeah, just I mean, it's just not. It's not good. And at this point, I know several Oklahoma State fans that are like, Gundy, I am almost to that point that I'm done.
They're not going to fire him.
They're not going to fire him, but I think if you almost have to, if you're him, like you got to fire OC and DC and start completely over. Like
you got to fire everybody.
Their defense is, I believe, now statistically the worst in the country. it is dead last, like 133rd or 34th, however many teams there are. They are dead last in the country. And the offense is stagnant, unimaginative. Alan Bowman is really bad. They're not even trying to give the ball to their best player. Like you said, that Ollie Gordon had 11 carries Saturday. Like
for 28 yards.
I just don't get it. This was a team that last year I thought a lot of things kind of fell their way. I didn't really think that they were as good as the record indicated, but it's the same team, and I didn't think they were this bad. And it's just horrible. It's horrible.
They're about to go three. They're about to go 3 and or
3 and 9. 3 and 9 is very, very, very much the conversation. And at best, I would say 4 and 8. I
was about to say the ceiling's got to be 4 and 8.
It would be a miracle for this team to get to 6 and 6. And if anybody could pull it off, it'd be Gundy for them to reel off 3 straight, get bowl eligible. But I just don't. That like they maybe could beat Tech and TCU. I don't see it, but I don't think there's any way they're beating Colorado. No chance. So yeah, they are my worst of the weekend. Oklahoma State fans, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be malicious as an OU fan. It's just I frankly it's hard for me to even believe. I feel sorry for you. My team sucks this year too.
State of Oklahoma may not be going to a bowl.
Yeah, it's bad across the board. But
you better get on your Tulsa Hurricanes gear if you're trying to go to a bowl game.
Yeah,
I don't even know if they're going to be in a bowl game. Let me check. Let's check on them. What are they in, the American or Conference USA?
They're in the American. I'm trying to find it real quick. You can probably pull it up faster than me.
I'm right here.
They're not good.
No, they've got to be in Conference USA because I'm not seeing.
No, they're in American. They're in the American. They are 1-4 in the American.
What are they overall?
3 and 6 overall.
They're State of Oklahoma's not going to a bowl game.
Probably not. Hey, beat Missouri. It's happening.
Just do it. Just do it.
Do it. It's all I need. It's all I need, Dalt.
It's your Super Bowl. It's here.
It's my one piece that I can take. Okay, we're getting off track here. All right, Dalt. That's our best and worst. We're going to close things out here. Right about where I want to be time-wise. We are going to give right now in the moment our 12-team, not our rankings. This is our projected, if the season ended right now, what we thought the playoff would be. We don't really have to like totally expound on all this and that, but we can a little bit. So I'll go ahead and just let you read your 12. We'll kind of talk about yours, and then I'll go to mine. We can kind of talk about mine. So without further ado, give me your 12-team playoff as it sits right now going into week 11.
Okay. My 1 seed is the Oregon Ducks. I have them going undefeated and winning the Big Ten. My 2 seed is the Georgia Bulldogs. I was conflicted. I wanted to put my Longhorns here, but I put Georgia here just because of the way they looked in Austin. My 3 seed, the SMU Pony Express, winning the ACC, beating Miami in the ACC championship. My 4 seed, primetime Colorado Buffaloes, winning the Big 12, beating BYU to be the 4 seed.
Okay.
My 5 seed's Texas. My 6 seed is Ohio State. I have them losing to Oregon. I have Texas losing to Georgia. I think the loser of the Big Ten and SEC championship are going to be 5-6. I'm just going to say that Texas's win over Texas A&M at the end of the year will put them over Ohio State. My 7 seed is Penn State. They're going to go 11-1. They're going to be right there behind Ohio State. 8 seed is Notre Dame. I could see Notre Dame being ahead of Penn State, but I'm just going to give Notre Dame the benefit of the doubt. Miami's going to fall all the way to number 9 after losing to SMU. My 10 seed is BYU. My 11 seed is Indiana. I have them rematching with Ohio State in the first round. And then my 12 seed is Boise State.
Okay, so real quick, how many How many Big Ten and SEC teams do you have?
4 Big Ten, 2 SEC,
It's crazy.
and 2 ACC, 2 Big 12, and and 2 technically independents.
Right.
Because I think we have this weekend. I think LSU and Alabama is going to be an eliminator. I think that Georgia is going to eliminate Ole Miss this weekend. I think a 2-loss Tennessee is going to get left out because of the way that the Penn State, Indiana, only having 1 loss and not playing in their conference championship. Maybe they get in over BYU or Miami, but team goes undefeated and loses their conference championship, they're probably not getting left out of the playoff.
Okay, I don't hate it. I'll give you mine. Number one, I'm with you. I've got Oregon. I think they're going to go undefeated. I think they might win the Big Ten. If they're my number one seed, I think that you have to say that almost. So I've got Oregon at number one. I'm with you. I've got Georgia at 2. Think that they're going to win the SEC when all the dust settles there. I've got Miami at 3. Think they're going to win the ACC. I think SMU causes problems, but I don't know. I think Miami finds a way. At 4, I've got BYU. Got them winning the Big 12. I don't think the remaining schedule. I mean, outside of, try to pull it up real quick. I just think they're going to win the Big 12. At 5, I've got Ohio State. At 6, I've got Texas. At 7, I have Indiana. 8, Penn State. At 9, I've got Tennessee. 10, Notre Dame. At 11, I have Alabama. And at 12, Boise State as well. So I have Boise State as my non-power 5. Ultimately, I look at it and I've got 4 Big Ten, 4 SEC, only 1 ACC because personally, I think if Miami beats SMU, I just don't think that schedule's strong enough to get them in as the runner-up. Like,
No,
with what I have
outside of Louisville.
Where I was torn the most, I really do. I don't love Tennessee at 9. I think they're probably going to lose to Georgia, but I don't know, man. Georgia's not just been. I mean, Tennessee's playing pretty good, and they play really good defense. And Georgia's kind of struggled offensively. Like it's not the Georgia that we're used to, obviously. And I think they go to Georgia, so that'll be tough. But I think that game kind of hinges on Tennessee. I don't know. It makes an interesting case as far as the SEC race goes, but Notre Dame, I don't think they're going to lose another game, so they're going to be in, and they may be higher than 10 even at that point. But I was really torn on 11 with Alabama. I think Alabama. I think they have a good chance to win out and finish 10-2. With that said, that I don't think they're going to play for the SEC, and I think in that scenario it kind of helps them because 10-2 Alabama in the SEC is getting the playoff.
More than likely,
no doubt, probably. So that Tennessee and Bama were kind of my, and then Indiana, Penn State. I just think
one loss.
They're going to be 1-loss teams. Like and I said Indiana, they might beat Ohio State. I don't know, but if they beat Ohio State, they're in the Big Ten championship and they're getting in.
Yeah.
And like
if
Penn State's not,
they're going to be the 5 seed.
Like you're just looking at potentially 11-2 Ohio State if they lose to Oregon in the Big Ten championship, and then you got 11-1 Indiana and 11-1 Penn State, who with both just losses to the team that they got beat by the same team twice, who's the number 1 overall team in the country, and Ohio State's probably going to be like 5 or 6. And I mean, Penn State lost to them by 7. and who knows what Indiana Ohio State's going to be. So like I just don't see either of those teams getting left out of the 12-team playoff with that 11-1 record.
The only thing I see is if Indiana gets railroaded by
Yeah, sure.
Ohio State.
But yeah, I just don't think that's going to happen.
I don't either.
But so that's kind of where I'm at. Like I said, I've got your Longhorns at 6. I think that they're going to make it to the SEC championship against Georgia, and I think they're going to lose again. Obviously, predicting Georgia to win the SEC. So I don't know. I think Ohio State would be above them just simply because maybe a couple better wins as far as the schedule goes. Like they would, if they have wins over Indiana, Penn State, close losses to Oregon, like Texas right now, even like you guys really don't have that marquee win because
we're not going to get one.
Yeah, like it just is what it is. I mean, Vandy's not a bad win, but I mean, who knows how they finish?
It is hard to say Vandy's a good win when when Vandy comes out of your mouth. You should have said you beat a top 25 team, and everybody be like, "That's cool." But when you say you beat top 25 Vandy, they're like, "Nah."
Right, and games that you would typically hang your hat on, like Michigan and Oklahoma, obviously those two teams having just really bad years, so that doesn't help the cause, obviously. And you guys, obviously, you have the A&M game, so you need A&M to continue winning. That would obviously be like your signature win.
Can't count on them for that.
But yeah, can't do that either. But I think I might like Notre Dame a little higher than I had them because I think they're going to win out, be 11-1. But that loss is bad. It's really bad to NIU. So that's kind of where I'm at, Dalt. We've talked about it. I think it's wide open. I don't think there's an elite team. I would say I'm anxious to see these rankings on Tuesday night, but again, just looking at how it all is going to play out, I just don't think these rankings, like, I don't really get it. Because, like, we talked about this, like, you're going to put out these rankings, but then at the end of the year, when you make your playoff bracket, it's not really going to be rankings. Like, you got the automatic qualifiers and all that. So it's like, what's really the point of the rankings? Like, why not just continue with the AP poll and then release one ranking? Kind of like I said, like early in the episode, like March Madness. That would make a little bit more sense to me, but it's a money thing with ESPN, obviously. But that's
ESPN. I think ESPN needs the views, and it's something they can spend 3 hours on.
So that's where we're at with that. So that, Dalt, that's our recap episode. Went a little longer than I would like to, but thought it'd be fun little thing to do the playoff kind of predictions, see where we're at. We were pretty close to the same, had a few different teams, but for the most part, it was very similar. So with that, Dalt, that's Week 10 recap in the books. We're getting closer and closer to the end here, man. Things are looking good for you.
Not so much over, Tim.
No, yeah.
Just hang in there, baby.
Hallelujah.
If you lose this weekend, the good news is that in 3 weeks, football season's over for you.
Yeah.
You ain't got to worry about a pointless bowl game. You can just go straight to softball.
Yeah. Chill. Chill. Okay. So with that, Dalt, we will get out of here, get this recap posted, and we hopefully will be back obviously this week for our Week 11 preview. Have not even looked at the slate. Hopefully it's a little better than what it was this past weekend, but I honestly have not even looked at that. So with that, Dalt, if you don't have anything else to add, then we are done here. We'll get out of here, and we'll be back middle of the week for a Week 11 preview, and we're out.
Don't forget, Dalton was right, and to cover the flats.